back to another episode of G&G News. So, toxic fumes from ships linked to thousands of UK deaths. Studies show more than 3,000 early mortalities linked to toxic fumes from ships around British coasts. Pollution from ships has been linked with heart disease, respiratory problems, and cancer. The UK is one of the most vulnerable nations to toxic fumes spewed out by ships, according to a new study. Analysed by transport experts reveal more than 3,000 British deaths each year can be attributed to shipping emissions. Pollution from boats is linked to early deaths as the toxic gases and particles in fumes trigger health problems including asthma, heart disease, and cancer. Despite efforts to clean up the sector, ships still rely on the filthiest fuels for power, resulting in huge volumes of emissions being pumped into the air around port cities. Using data from 2015, the International Council on Clean Transportation (ICCT) team showed Britain ranked fourth for the total number of people dying prematurely due to shipping fumes, just behind China, Japan, and India, and that is saying something. So here are some images from New Delhi. This is the toxic smog in New Delhi. So India's Retraptia Boa is partly visible due to smog as traffic piles on. Smog levels spike during winter in Delhi when air quantity often is probably very low. The UK also comes fourth when judged on deaths per 100,000 people, this time ranking alongside other coastal nations such as Singapore and the Netherlands. And then a quote, globally, shipping was responsible for around 16% of premature deaths due to emissions from transportation, but the UK was in the order of 40%, said Daniel Rutherford, a marine transport expert at the ICCT. Britain's unfortunate position near the top of the charts is largely the result of its proximity to busy shipping lanes to Europe, but also the uneven laws governing pollutions on the high seas. Critically, only one half of Britain's shores is protected by an emission control area, said Dr. Rutherford. Ships in the North and Baltic Seas must slash sulfur levels in their fuel from 2.5 to 0.1%, meaning they produce lower volumes of sulfur oxide, also known as SOx, linked in respiratory conditions. But while the east coast of Britain is protected by this zone, on the other side of the country there are no such restrictions. Dr. Matt Loxon, a toxicologist at the University of Southampton, noted that besides gases like SOx, ships also produce more than their fair share of ultrafine particles, which can penetrate deep into human tissue. These very small particles contribute little to the mass of pollution, but are thought to be associated with health effects in ways we haven't quite got a handle on yet, he said. The ICCT suggested the UK should seek to establish a new control zone to curb pollution, as European nations are currently trying to do in the Mediterranean. But while national governments can implement policies to cut pollution from cars, shipping is largely in the hands of the International Maritime Organization, a UN agency based in London. And in a quote, even if you have very progressive stances from an individual government, it still needs to get into the IMO and be negotiated there, said Dr. Rutherford. There is a broader need to reform the IMO and get it moving in the right direction, he also said. A spokesperson for the IMO said new rules coming into force from 2020 will limit SOx even outside protected zones, which they predict will prevent more than 500,000 premature deaths around the world. However, these regulations will still not be as tight as those currently in place in the North Sea, with sulfur in fuel oil cut to just 0.5% instead of 0.1% allowed in such zones. So, thank you once again for watching another episode of GNG News. Don't forget to subscribe, turn on post notifications if you haven't done already. Like this video if you think it deserves a like. Share it with your friends if you want other people to see this. Leave a comment in the comment section down below if there's anything you want me to do in the next episode of GNG News, and I'll be happy to get back to you. I hope you have all enjoyed watching another episode of GNG News. Make sure you wrap up warm if you go outside because it is very cold. There are a lot of warnings of bad weather recently, so do not go and get yourself ill. And like I said, I will see you on the next episode very, very soon. Thank you for watching.